Hey everyone, it's LaShonda from Labors of Love, and I am here with another Therapy Thursday. Today I want to talk about compensations. Compensations. So I'm going to start this by referencing something I've referenced multiple times, and that is my work with my personal trainer, David Fairbanks from Lions Pride Wellness Center here in the Cincinnati area. David is a personal trainer for my partner and I. He comes to our home and he works us out. And this is not necessarily about all cardio or all weight training or strength training. It's about functional movement. And as I am learning to get my feet set directly underneath me, get my stack, meaning that my body is aligned all the way from my feet and my connection and grounding to the floor and ground, all the way up my body to my shoulders. At one point I talked about this and I talked about I was constantly had my head down. It was a compensation. It was a way I moved through the world that I didn't even notice. So now I no longer have my head constantly down. My hip is not, I'm not shifting my weight so that my hip is constantly sticking out. So there are ways that I'm maneuvering through this. When we are working out, sometimes we use resistance. So one example might be exercise where I hold a resistance band straight out in front of me, right at my chest level, and I stretch the resistance band out, making sure that I am drawing my strength from my body's alignment and the power that I can get through the ground and my legs, and not doing a lot of compensatory movements, right? So I'm compensating. Do I shift and lean as I do this? Because the muscles that I have that are equipped and prepared to do this motion have oftentimes been underutilized because I've been overusing other things like my shoulders, things like that. Well, where it got deep is we're doing our resistance training, and he said, you'll be good up until about the 12th rep. We were going to 20 reps per set. And he said, you'll be good to around rep 12, and that's when you'll start to feel it. At that point, you are building this new way of moving, using the muscles that were designed for it, but they will get fatigued. That is the point where we have to keep going, because when you get fatigued and when you get to that point, that's when all of the compensations that you have used before will try to kick in to help you not feel that fatigue. It's me just saying that. That's deep to me. Listen, we're good. I'm going. 1, 2, we get all the way up. And for me, it actually started around rep 9, where I realized that even though I wasn't using my shoulder muscles, my trapezius muscles, it was starting to get tired. And so they wanted to kick in the gear. I wanted to slightly lift. It was all this stuff that was happening. And that's when he encouraged me. This is where you got to push through. This is so applicable to different places in our lives. What muscle have you been working on? Is it boundaries? Is it knowing your value and worth and loving yourself? Is it self-tending and self-care? Is it acknowledging your humanity and sitting in your reality? What muscle have you been building? And when you get tired, when fatigue sets in, when stress comes, when what you're working towards looks blurry, are you falling back on those compensations? Y'all, this is so deep. I want to tell you how this came through for me this week. So there were a couple of things that happened, and one of them was that there was a notebook that I have that I can't find. It was in my office before our home was designed, and we went through our home design. And since then, I haven't been able to find it. And this notebook has a lot of valuable information in it for a lot of things. But it has some information that I need about a loved one of mine. And I can't find it. So I got stressed. And I got anxious because I couldn't find this notebook. And in that moment of stress, all of my compensation started to come back. So what muscle have I been building? sitting in discomfort, deep breathing, talking to my littles, all of that stuff started to go out the window. And I went to what I used to do. I went to try to control the situation. So I'm tearing the house up. I get down to the basement and I can't find it. So that's when I turn into a Tasmanian devil. And I'm like, why is this so disorganized anyway? So I'm just sorting through and organizing. And in the midst of that, I'm growing frustrated and resentful with my family because we've been here this long and I'm the only one. Just all this stuff. I had to, at a certain point, just stop. I had to stop and I had to say, okay, what's really happening? I went to my writing exercise and I allowed the parts of me that were activated to just get it out. And what it came down to is shame. Shame had showed up. I was ashamed that I couldn't find this notebook. I was fearful of telling the person that I couldn't find it because what if they thought this or what if they thought that? And then now that I realized what was happening, I could use my actual tools. I talked to my littles. I assured her that, one, we can't find it, and it happens. And we get to be honest. And how someone else responds to our reality is not our responsibility, but it is the truth. We get to be authentic. And then it's like, hey, breathe. Do the things you know to do. But if I hadn't have been thinking about the way physically my body will compensate, then I think I wouldn't have been able to go oh, I don't have to be upset about the way I reacted. Instead, I can go, hey, these things served me well for a long time. Now I get to let them go. What previous actions, reactions, and things are you falling back into? How are you compensating when the fatigue and challenges hit the new muscles you're trying to build? It's worth considering. So that's what I leave with you on this Thursday. If you want to reach out to me, please reach me at www.thelaborsoflove.com. There is now a form there where you can give us suggestions for content and guests. Don't forget we're on all the major social media outlets. And if you haven't already, share, rate, review the podcast. Until we connect again, you all be well.